Hi there, good day, and welcome to episode 3 of this Baseline to Baseline podcast. I'm your host, Alister Albert, and today on this Zoom call, we have two guests on, friends of mine, one being Jahn, who you might remember from episode 1. We had a really good chat in our little pilot episode where we kind of broke down quite a few things in the NBA, and also a friend of ours, Bevan Frederick, who is a baller over here from London in the UK. And we're just going to, talk some basketball as usual, talk about the NBA lottery, which just happened recently, speak a little bit about LeBron and the Lakers, his GOAT status, the Portland Trailblazers, kind of look a little bit at the East bracket and kind of see who are the actual contenders coming out from that side, submit our brackets. Well, I told them to kind of submit a bracket. I don't know if they've done it. This is homework, but we shall see. We're going to have some talks on predictions and upsets and everything linked to those brackets. So, I'd like to welcome the guys in, really happy and excited to have them in where we could have this chat and spending some time with us. So, Bevan and Jahn, thank you very much. And let's get straight into it. And of course, guys, the playoffs are here. Finally, the last time we spoke, Jahn, the playoffs hadn't started yet and everything, but now we're in the midst of it and things are getting really chippy and heavy and all of that. So a few observations to be made, I think, from what has kind of transpired so far. But before we get into playoffs talk, I just wanted to know if you guys had noticed anything about the lottery last night. The NBA conducted its NBA lottery. And for those of you who don't know what the lottery is about, it's the NBA teams drafting younger players coming from college and elsewhere around the world, replenishing their teams with youthful talent. And the draft was conducted last night virtually. And, some very interesting results coming out. We have the Timberwolves with the number 1 choice, getting to choose first the Warriors, Hornets, then the Bulls, and the Cavs rounding out the top 5. So what did you guys think when you saw the results coming out? I'll start with you, Bevan.
Rich get richer. That's what that's a big point coming out of the lottery. I think Golden State getting the number 2 pick is big for them. Mm-hmm. Having a chance to draft Weissman, number 2 pick, plug up the big gaping hole they had in the middle of the court with the center. And plus he's a mobile center, he can move around, he can cause a lot of problems, create open shots for Steph, get alley-oops from Draymond, so I think them getting Wiseman to me is huge. So Timberwolves with the number 1 pick for me. I don't know how much that I don't know how much that affects them. I think Timberwolves still need to create sort of a pattern of play. And I'll mention this a lot. You need a pattern of play for you to be successful, regardless of the players you have. If you have a pattern of play that's random and doesn't follow a strategic direction, I don't think you can be successful in the NBA.
Right. So, Jahn, what do you think? Do you think Wiseman will go 2 or number 1? And there's this other guy, Anthony Edwards, who I only got to learn about.
That's the name you're going to have to.
I only heard about him last night. I didn't know about him, but he seems like to be the guy to beat potentially. He could be the number 1 pick to the Wolves. So what do you think?
Yeah, so I think this Golden State story is the story, them getting the number 2 pick. But Anthony Edwards, from what I've been reading and from listening to some of the other guys, I think everyone's pretty much locked in that he's going to be the number 1 pick.
Right.
Obviously, the Timberwolves don't need another center. They already have Karl Anthony Towns. So really and truly for them, it's getting another wing. I mean, we've seen the trend in the NBA now. You need at least 2 elite wings to get somewhere. I mean, saving apart from the Bucks. Most teams, if you look at the teams that have been really successful, apart from the Bucks and the Lakers, but they have the 2 most dominant big men in the league. But everyone else, you're looking at elite wings. And from all accounts, Anthony Edwards fits that. He fits the bill. So I think for the Timberwolves, it's probably going to be, it's a no-brainer, I guess, because that's what they need. That's the hole on their team.
Right.
For now, yeah, like Bevan says, they need to develop a style of play. But I think it will come because they went from a Tom Thibodeau rigid system with Jimmy Butler being the guy to now you have D'Angelo Russell, who's a more free-flowing type player. So I think they can change up that system to suit. Yeah, there's a young coach as well, so he's probably more versed now on the way the new NBA plays. So I think it's going to be interesting, and I think in a couple of years, remember that they got a lot of assets from that Andrew Wiggins trade. So they're going to be a team. They're going to probably be like the Phoenix Suns on the team on the rise in the next couple of years.
So both of you guys don't think LaMelo Ball will go number one? You don't think the Timberwolves might have some use for him?
Nah.
Is that you hating on LeVar or just?
Nah, it's not really me hating it. I think you don't need to put another point guard next to D'Angelo. Let D'Angelo, I mean, he showed you what he could do with the Nets. I mean, he showed you he can run a team, he can score with the best of them. Mm-hmm. So I think you kind of have to let him be, like, let him manage that team.
Right.
Put the ball in his hands. If you bring LaMelo, you're more or less going to take the ball out of his hands and turn him into a two guard. And we saw that experiment with the Lakers a few years ago. It didn't really work out too well. I don't know, Bevan, what do you think?
I'm not falling for that again. LaMelo, I mean, I don't want to make any predictions until I see someone play in the US. I've seen him play a few times, and as a kid playing with in Chino Hills, I had a lot of respect for him. I think he was really good, but having not really seen him play against actual college D1 standard level play. And I mean, I know he played in Australia, and Australia is meant to be good, but I really haven't seen him play, so I can't really give it a thumbs up until I see some more. So good for him. I think at his height, 6'7", 6'8", playing point guard, he is the new wave of the NBA. Athletically, I haven't really seen much. I don't think he's that as athletic as Lonzo was when he came out.
He's actually quite athletic, I mean, I've seen some of his. Granted, the highlights from Europe and Australia, but he seems fairly athletic. I think.
But not as athletic as Lonzo was. Lonzo was taking alley-oops and stuff like that.
Yeah, he can do that.
And I mean, so
I've seen him take off the bounce alley-oops.
I'm not casting any doubts on his ceiling. I think he has a high ceiling, being that tall and that good of a ball handler and a decent shooter. So sky's the limit for him. But I'm reserved on how
LeVar.
I'm not falling about the LeVar again.
It's really interesting that the Knicks again have fallen all the way down to number 8. I know LaMelo was really interested in probably even playing in New York and having that bright lights, and I know he would have loved that. But it's interesting what you guys said. I think you're right. With the Timberwolves, I think they need a complementary guard to D'Angelo Russell, someone who's not really going to take the ball out of his hands. And Anthony Edwards seems to be that type of talent. James Wiseman, like you said, Bevan, rightfully, I think the Warriors do need to plug up that middle with a big man, Kevon Looney, and Draymond Green acting as a small big. I think that was not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And LaMelo Ball probably going to the Hornets. That one's going to be tricky for Michael Jordan because he has the Graham guy, and
he has Graham. He has Terry Rozier.
They're going to be a lot of.
I think if I was Jordan, I would go with LaMelo at that.
He needs all box office stuff right now. He needs people coming in. So LaMelo will probably be a safe pick in terms of the ticket gate for sure. So we'll not continue too much on the lottery. Just kind of wanted to hear your thoughts on what you guys thought. But I thought it was a really interesting result, and we'll see how it plays out when the actual.
If I was Mike, I'd take LaMelo and trade Terry Rozier for a big or somebody.
I actually believe that. I don't think Terry Rozier deserved that contract that he got. But who am I to say that? But I don't think he's really that type of impact.
Well, and the thing is, he won't fit anymore because if you bring LaMelo in, then you have Graham, who's a nice combo guard.
Yep.
I don't think you need.
Or you could use the number 3 pick and get a big man and stay with. You already have Graham and Rozier, so you could probably, because Rozier is not a bad player. He's had good stats this year. I think he averaged 20 this year anyway. So it's not like he's been a horrible player. Obviously, Graham has taken the reins of being the Iverson type, guard, high usage guard that everybody kind of wants right now.
Right. So lots to look forward to. lots to look forward to with the lottery and how it all play out. Trades and things happening on draft night, etc. So that was really interesting, and we'll see how it all plays out. Now I'd like to move on to the Portland Trailblazers. They were the team that really it's dug their feet in, and really kind of pushed their way in the bubble to get into that 8th seed. They're now playing the Los Angeles Lakers and kind of give them a really good beating on game 1 and losing last night in game 2. We know for sure the Blazers embody the fearlessness of Damian Lillard, and they're showing that right now. They're really playing really good. What do you guys think the outcome will be between the Blazers and Lakers? Jahn, I'll start with you.
Yeah, everybody knows my upset pick. I think I started giving it to you at the last show, Alister, but you cut me off.
Right.
Bevan and I, we've discussed this. He doesn't agree, but I'm not gonna do the Charles Barkley and say it's gonna be a sweep, but
right.
I think I still have the Blazers in a long series. I think this goes the distance. And then again, I should qualify that because last night was just, if you judge it on last night where Carmelo and CJ never showed up, like I don't think they left their hotel room.
Right.
Probably saw ghosts of them on the court. Then yeah, it's gonna be a short series. But for all intents and purposes, if Carmelo can show up to 80% of what he used to be, and CJ becomes CJ again, I think it's a long series for LA. I think what I saw last night in the first half until it got ugly was the Lakers. They still can't hit outside shots. Let's not fool ourselves into believing
they're last. They're actually last in the bubble in free-point.
They're last in the bubble. Yeah. So let's not fool out. If Dame and CJ and these guys, Gary Trent, get hot, it's a long series, and these guys hit threes, and we know the value of the 3 versus the 2.
Right.
So I think the one thing I would say, which is obvious, LA, they clearly have been showing that they were the more physical team down low. I think guys like Nurkic and Whiteside especially Whiteside needs to step up and be more physical with Dwight and JaVale McGee and grab a rebound. Come on. You're 7 foot, whatever. Grab a rebound. You can't have Dwight pushing you around. Dwight's 40 years old? Come on, man. Whiteside needs to be better. Whiteside definitely needs to be better. Especially with Zach Collins being out. I hope maybe, and that's the other X factor as well. If Zach Collins is healthy, Terry Stotts isn't forced to play Whiteside as many minutes. He isn't forced to play Wendell Gabriel. So I think with Zach Collins coming back, it gives the Blazers a better chance. That being said, LeBron hasn't shown me that he's into this series and locked in just yet. I haven't seen him he's probably taken 2 jump shots. Last night you saw him come out and try to impose his will by just driving to the basket. You could see it on his face. That was his mind. I'm just going to get to the rim and put it on the refs or the guys to foul me on the refs to call it. But shooting-wise, he hasn't shot the ball very well. And that was evident again last night. So
do you think, Bevan,
maybe that's with my Blazers pick? Sorry?
No. All right. So you're sticking to the Blazers. Okay, no problem. You haven't. I haven't seen your brackets yet, but I'm guessing you're looking for Blazers to go through.
Yeah. That's the Blazers going through.
All right. So, Bevan, do you think LeBron's not inefficiency, but his lack of shooting is just a function of him trying to facilitate more? That's just what his mindset is, or do you just think it's Portland doing something to him and making him unable to shoot?
No, I think for me, Jahn knows that I don't see the Blazers going through. But when it comes to LeBron, I think LeBron has always been a streaky shooter. He's always going to be a guy. You're never going to be able to rely on LeBron to go through a series or a whole playoffs shooting 3-pointers at a high clip. That's not his game. I know people try to sell that, but we all know that LeBron, who came into the NBA, couldn't really hit outside shots. So his strength is driving to the basket. And his post game in some of yesterday's game was a testament to the fact that he can go to different aspects of his game when he loses confidence in his jumper. His jumper has got improved leaps and bounds. So but I don't think Portland has done anything that would affect whether that goes in or not. It might go in the next game, it might not. But I don't think LeBron himself relies on his jumper or is very confident that he can rely on his jumper throughout a whole playoffs. Maybe in 1 or 2 series, but not.
He's gonna have to shoot the ball at some point.
Well, he will in this series for sure. You know, he will have to.
If he's making it, he will go. He will shoot. But
I mean, look at how they're managing his minutes. That just goes to show he can't continue driving on every play. He's gonna have to shoot. So
no, but and what the thing about him is because he has that gift of passing, he can create openings for himself that others may struggle with when they're not shooting well. So his passing kind of helps him out a lot.
Yeah, so I think, his passing, it opens up the game for him. And, when he has shooters around him, it creates another threat that allows him more space to operate and everything. And then he could decide how he wants to, pick your poison with his style of play and the team. Anthony Davis, I think, like you were saying in our first episode, Jahn, you're saying that he's probably been the better player for the Lakers.
By far.
And he's done really well, although that first game, both of them, they were really shaky, although they did put up stats, but it just didn't go through. So I think that will help me to segue into the next part of that question, where Paul Pierce came out, I think, during the week saying that if LeBron James loses this playoff series, don't put him in the GOAT conversation anymore.
If they don't win this year, LeBron's not getting any younger. This is going to be a big hit on his legacy. And I've already said he's not a top 5 player of all time. If the Lakers don't win a championship, let alone lose in the first round, I don't want to hear none of this GOAT talk no more.
Facts. I say facts.
Absolutely.
He's already not in the good conversation for me.
You think so?
I think Paulie coming out and saying it. I mean, yeah, we know Paul kind of goes off on those lines, but I agree. You can't be the GOAT and complaining. I mean, look at all the complaints he's been complaining about. Oh, there's something going on behind the scenes. Setting the excuse for when he eventually loses. So I agree with Paul Pierce. He's not my GOAT. And he's not going to be in the conversation if he loses this year.
All right. I think Kendrick Perkins will disagree. What do you think, Bevan?
I don't think LeBron was ever in the GOAT conversation for me. I always felt like LeBron had a lot more to do for me to consider. When LeBron was coming up, I did have a belief that he could have become the GOAT if he continued on the trajectory. But, after all the failings, I just can't overlook some of these series, Orlando series, the Dallas series, some of those series with against
San Antonio,
against San Antonio, against Golden State. There's so many black marks that I cannot put him in that conversation. Yes, I mean, I'm happy to put him in the top 5, even number 2 all time, but are we going to forget all these things? Are we going to just forget that and put him in the same category as a guy who never had anything like that? I mean, I know I sound like Skip Bayless, but I really don't feel like a GOAT can have these black marks, I mean, you could be, but has he really dominated the league the way Jordan did? I just don't think you can argue that.
I think how many guys have LeBron denied?
In that sense.
Well, let's say, go ahead, Jahn.
No, I'm just saying, just what Bevan was saying. How many guys has LeBron denied? He gave basically everyone who was in his generation their chance. Like Tim Duncan, he gave it to Dirk. So the Golden State, Kevin Durant, every single great player in his era got a ring on his watch. During Mike's era, none of his rivals got a ring under his watch. It was like, yeah, okay, when I'm out, you guys have a chance. But whilst I'm here, no, that's absolutely not happening. So how can I don't feel that way when it comes to LeBron, specifically for that reason that he let everyone get theirs.
I think that's a weak argument though, because technically Isaiah, Magic, Bird, Olajuwon did get rings during Jordan's era.
What?
So
well, Olajuwon got his when Mike wasn't there.
When Mike was retired. Isaiah got his when Mike was the 2nd or 3rd year in the league, before he had a proper team. Come on now. LeBron let him get it at his prime.
Yeah,
KD
but you're
at his
saying,
prime.
but the difference is we're saying that LeBron has allowed all these guys to get
He's
rings. But I'm
allowed.
saying that
He played all these guys in the finals. You can't tell me you're gonna go against your rival guys who are based. It's like Kobe. Kobe denied everybody else that was in his generation his chance. You can't say Kobe didn't deny guys. The only person he let get there was probably KG, and we were all rooting for KG and hoping he did. But
no, Duncan got how many rings during Kobe's era?
yeah, you can't count it when the guy's not in his prime. LeBron has been in his prime for the last 5 to 6 years. All right, that's your prime. And during that time, what happened? You saw Dirk beat him. You saw Tim Duncan, an old aging Tim Duncan with a young Kawhi beat him and get theirs.
Well, we know for sure any conversation where it involves LeBron James and this greatest of all time title, it will always spark some sort of debate. And I think for me, I'll give my input on it. I don't think for sure he's nowhere close to the whole GOAT thing. I'm always going to be an MJ guy. MJ did it. His record was pristine, and like you said, Jahn, he denied quite a lot of people championships in his time. Where I think LeBron comes in with this sort of conversation is, his skill. And, he's been able to use so many different levels of skill set that Jordan was really good at in fadeaways, and, his imposing his will and his strengths that, he brought to the court during the 90s. And that was a totally different era, like we know. But LeBron, I think, he's shown, the ability to pass like magic and have these little moments, although he was criticized for it quite a lot, having a little bit of a clutch gene like Mike every now and then. And, going up against teams like he has, that were put together like that Golden State Warriors team that he beat in 2016, that counts for something, but I don't think that's enough to push him into that GOAT conversation. Like Bevan said, maybe a very highly touted number 2, but not the greatest of all times. But yeah,
I agree to a number 2.
If you think he goes, if he goes out to the Portland Trailblazers this year, yeah, let's end that talk right there. Yeah, so we'll stop here for this first segment. I'd just like to do just a quick read for a little sponsor that we have to this. So entertainers gravitate towards entertainers, so why not check out a website that is made for entertainers by entertainers? Visit The Actors Post for interviews with professional performers like dancers, actors, filmmakers, and even an international supermodel. So visit the www.theactorspost.com or visit its social media pages at The Actors Post on IG, Twitter, and Facebook.